All right. Hello and welcome to your Pilates class. So today we're going to have a little bit of focus on activating through the deep core muscles to stabilize the low back so we can find maybe a little bit more range of motion without dumping all of that into the low back so we can feel more core stability and more basically the whole trunk. So glutes and back and core as well. So all you're really going to need for class today is a yoga strap. And if you don't have a yoga strap, a little hand towel will do as well. But we're going to find some activation through the lumbar spine first, and then we're going to start to put this together for a little core strengthening workout. So once you have your actual strap, go ahead and fold it in half one time, so it's a little bit thicker. Then you're going to fold it in half a second time, so you should have 4 layers of strap. And then you're going to fold it in half one more time. So now you've got 8 layers of strap with a pretty thick orientation there. So what we're going to do with this strap is, as we come down onto our backs, we're going to start right at the top of the lumbar spine. So if you can feel around on your back and you feel where your rib cage ends, so right at the bottom of that rib cage, we're going to place it right underneath that rib cage area. So go ahead and meet me on your back, and then placing that strap right underneath that area in that lumbar spine. And for the purposes of this, we're going to have the knees bent with the feet flat on the floor, just to help eliminate some of that natural lumbar curve so we can feel our low back making a connection with that strap. So go ahead and take just a minute to find yourself in this position. And then all we're going to do from here is the low back alone. So try not to lift or move your hips, but just the low back, thinking of a cat-cow like flexion and extension. So as you start to scoop in your belly, thinking like a cat back, press your low back into that tactile connection with the strap. Then we're slowly going to release and imagine coming into this belly extension, popping the rib cage open like a cow posture, and feel your spine lift up off the strap. So again, we're going to ground the strap as we round the low back, and then we're going to lift the low back off the strap. So the first couple really exaggerate it so you can really feel that strap in the natural curve of your lumbar spine. And again, we don't want to be lifting and lowering the hips here. So we're not turning it into a bridge. The hips are staying grounded on the floor. We're really just feeling this right on that segment of the spine that the strap is underneath. So pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing, and start to really tap into the sensations of how you feel this. So as you press the spine back into the strap, you should feel a lot of these deep core muscles starting to activate, drawing in towards the spine to protect it. So as you inhale, you should feel that release. And as you exhale and contract, you should feel that all of that core engagement. And the strap is really just there to serve as this tactile connection so we can feel that pressing in of the core as the back kind of presses out and flat. So take 2 more there. And take 1 more. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're just going to move the strap down about an inch. So we're just on down towards the hips about an inch. So we're just on a different part of the lumbar spine, but we're still in the lumbar spine. So all you did was move it down towards the tailbone just a little bit, and then do that same thing. So compress and release, keeping the hips on the floor, compress and release. So you feel that spinal process, that bony part of your spine pushing into the strap and then releasing. Now, when it's in the middle of the lumbar spine, we might feel the core engage a little bit more than when it was at the upper part of the lumbar spine. So really to start to tap into how that feels in your core, you feel all that hugging in sensation through the abdominals, and then a gentle releasing sensation as you pull that vertebra off the strap. And take just a couple more here. And then slowly release. And then we're going to try just 1 more spot. So again, just move the strap down about another vertebra. So just like a little half an inch. It's not big. So we're not on the tailbone. We're still above it. So we're still in this natural lumbar curve. And then again, compress and release, feeling that sensation of pushing into that strap. And then you've got that nice release there. And again, we're not lifting and lowering the hips. The hips are staying grounded on the floor. We're keeping this really isolated into the lumbar region so we can feel how that is supposed to activate when we start to move more into some of the core work. And this, although is kind of has an ease to it, we should feel a lot of sensation in the deep core muscles because we're trying to really tap into pushing that one vertebra into the strap and then release. So as you push into the strap, you should really feel all those core muscles pulling in, drawing in, and then that gentle release. Pulling in, drawing in, gentle release. And take 2 more here. And then slowly release. Go ahead and roll up to remove your strap. All we're going to do is unravel it 1 time. So now instead of 8 layers, you have 4 layers of strap. So it's a little bit wider. And that's going to be important because now we're going to add in some core activation. So we're going to place it in that general vicinity again, but you'll notice you're going to have some extra strap over off to one side. And that's going to be important because we're going to try to pull it out from underneath of us as we activate the core. So again, if you're just joining, you have your strap, you fold it 1 time, and then you fold it 2 times. And so you should have 4 layers of fabric, one on top of the next. So again, we're just going to place it right in that middle part of the natural lumbar curve with enough slack on one side that you can kind of hold on to it. So we're only going to hold on to one side. So one hand's going to be completely free, and that's just resting on the floor. The other hand is going to grab that tail of the strap that's sticking out from underneath of you. From here, you might not feel a whole lot with the feet on the floor, and that's okay. It's meant to be that way because we're going to actually bring the knees into the chest into a tabletop position. So once you bring your knees into this tabletop, stacking the knees over the hips and your shins are kind of parallel with the sky, you should feel that natural lumbar curve start to come out. So now you feel a little bit of compression on that strap. So just notice how that feels. Now come back to what we were just practicing, that pushing of the vertebra into the strap, and push that segment of the vertebra down. You'll probably feel more activation through the core. It should feel like a hollowing out of the front body and a compressing of the back body. And then try to pull this strap out from underneath of you. Now, if you just yanked the strap out and just reset yourself and try again, but we should be able to keep this core contraction as we're simultaneously pulling on the strap and feel that core, deep, deep core start to really engage there. So make sure you're also breathing. And then don't let go of the pulling. Keep tugging on the strap. And then slowly just start to tap your right heel towards the floor and then bring it back into tabletop. So notice how that shifts, how that changes. You feel probably the whole right side of the core fire up from the psoas and the hip all the way up to the obliques and the transverse abdominis where it connects up more towards the ribs. And really feel that there. So make sure you're still compressing your low back into that strap and pulling on the strap. That's going to help us get that sensation of grounding the deep core muscles. And then go ahead and just switch sides. And if you need a little break, feel free to take a little break and then switch sides. But really hug in those core, press that segment of the low back spine into the strap. Feel all of that activation and feel all these really deep core muscles stabilizing and supporting you. And make sure you're breathing. It's gonna be easy to hold our breath. And notice if you're slowly able to pull that strap out from underneath of you, all that means is we're starting to disengage and we just need to reset and re-engage. So if you feel that strap slowly starting to pull out, reset and really pull in those core muscles. And then from here, we're just going to alternate legs. And again, if you need a little bit of a break, take a little bit of a break because your core should be really, really working hard here. But notice how this feels different than maybe previous core workouts. Hopefully you're not feeling your low back at all because these deep core muscles, which can get almost atrophied if they don't know how to fire up and kick in, the low back has to take out the rest of the work. So hopefully with these little bits of cueing and these little bits of engagement, now all we feel is the front, the anterior body of the core. And let's go for 4, 3, whew, my core is tired, 2, 1 more, and then gently release. You can let go of the tugging on the strap and you can actually pull that strap out from underneath of you and just set it off to the side. From here, hug the knees into the chest and gently rock side to side. Nice job. All right, we're gonna try to do the same thing now, but without the strap underneath of us. So just remember how that felt. So when we come into these core transitions, we can keep tapping into that grounding and hugging in of the deep core muscles. So go ahead, and arms are just gonna be down by your side. And then imagine again, just like we had, that strap is underneath of you. So imagine that cat-like spine, feel the core hugging in, hold on to that engagement as you bring the knees into the chest. Now, if you feel like you're still really wanting to work on these sensations, you can also place your hand on your belly and notice if the belly's popping up and open, we're probably coming into the low back and out of the core. And then from here, we're going to play around with direction. So right heel to the floor and back up. And then we're going to take the right heel off to the right side of our mat and back up. And then take the right heel to the left side of the mat, ooh, and back up. So we come straight down and back up, off to the right side and back up, and then off to the left side and back up. I want to do that 2 more times. So again, really focus on those deep stabilizing core muscles. You should feel your right abs like crazy. And we're not moving really fast here. We're really trying to focus on the control and the stability. And after you finish your 4th set, go right into the left side. So left leg drops straight down. It drops off to the left long edge of your mat. And then it drops off to the right long edge of your mat. And then that right leg is still up in space. So we're still using the entire right side core to support us. And we're hitting the internal, the external obliques, transverse abdominis, your QL muscle, erector abdominis. So you're hitting all of these core muscles to really support our low back. And finish your 4th set. And then slowly release. And then just find this gentle windshield wipering of the sacrum, low back area by rocking your knees side to side. Kind of to stimulate this imbibing or this drawing of fluid back into the spinal discs to rehydrate them, to make them feel really nourished. And take a moment now and just notice if you feel different than previous core workouts. Hopefully you feel more of that front core body and less low back, a whole lot less low back. And if it still feels in the low back, just keep coming back to practicing with that strap. And the more you can engage these deep muscles, the more they're going to relearn how to kick in, how to fire up. All right, so now we're going to put this into a little mini flow. So it's going to get a little bit harder here. So go ahead and place the fingertips behind the ears or even the hands behind the head. Just make sure you're not cranking on the neck when we come into this. And then bring the legs back into tabletop. So we're going to flow this into those leg drops that we've just been doing into some bicycles and into some double body crunches here. So take a nice big breath in. As you exhale, imagine that strap behind your low back. Compress that strap in. Inhale, lift the upper body up, hold. Tap the right heel down, bring it back in. Tap the left heel in, bring it back in. Bring the knees and the elbows together over the center of the body. Bring it back out. And then take right elbow to left knee as you kick the right leg out straight. Bring it back through center. And then left to right, bring it back through center. So let's do that again. Right heel drops, back into table. Left heel drops, back into table. Crunch everything together in the center. And then 2 super slow bicycles. And keep coming back to that. And we're just going to keep flowing through that, there. And then keep coming back to that sensation of grounding that low back into that imaginary strap. Keep thinking cat-like spine into the floor. And really feel all of these slow contractions happening along the way. And then make sure you're breathing. Just make sure you're breathing. Whew. And our core should really, really, really be fired up here. Now, if you start to feel the low back, just come back to that cueing, come back to that engagement. That hugging in of these deep muscles around the spine. We've got 4 more sets here. Three more sets. Two more sets, almost there. Stay with it. That core should really be kicking in. All right, one more. And then release. Whew. Hopefully you felt that in your core. All right, we're gonna move to the posterior body, so the back body. And we're gonna do that in a prone position, so laying on the belly. And we're gonna think glutes, hamstrings, low back engagement. So however you wanna get onto your belly, but I'm gonna invite you to stack the hands so you can rest your forehead on the arms, or maybe just one hand, just make sure the head feels really supported here. Now, we're gonna play around with lifting the legs. I'm gonna invite you to just try it one time, how you normally would do it, and just notice where you feel it. So as you lift and lower the legs, just notice, do I feel it mostly in my low back? Do I feel that almost like pinching action as I lift and lower my legs? Because a lot of times when we aren't really activating through the glutes and the hamstrings, again, the low back is like, well, I'll take over. But we don't really want to feel it just there. We want to feel it supported, just like we did in our core. So after a couple, and you just notice where you're feeling that, then come back through neutral. Let's reassess, and we're going to go over this in detail, and then again, put it together for like a little teeny tiny Pilates workout. So once your head is supported, and again, you don't have to look up. I'm going to cue you pretty slowly audibly. So just keep your head relaxed, keep your spine in that nice neutral alignment. Now start to ground the front pelvis into the earth. So remember how we grounded the low back into the strap? We're doing the same thing now with the pelvis. So really push your pelvis into the floor and push your forehead into your hands. Now just start to lift and lower your right leg by itself. So keep your left foot grounded in the earth and just lift and lower a straight right leg up and down. Now keep grounding your pelvis as you lift and lower that front pelvis, the whole entire front hip region. Now, hopefully you feel it more in your glute and your hamstring rather than your low back. And we're not coming up super high. If you're coming up so high that the head is bobbing or the arms are lifting, just shorten your range of motion a little bit and really bring your actual focus, your mental focus to the right glute muscle, the right butt cheek muscle. Keep grounding the pelvis, ground the forehead. Try not to let go of that engagement. It's just like we were practicing with the strap on the low back. Take two more here, one more here, and then release and soften the body. Now, as you release, hopefully you felt that right glute really starting to kick in, to fire up, and even to tire out. We're gonna do the same thing on the left side. So come back to your engagement, ground the pelvis, ground the top of the right foot, ground your forehead, and then lift and lower your left leg. And again, lift it as high as you can, but if you start to notice you have to lift up the shoulders, the arms, the head, whatever it is, just shorten your range of motion a little bit. We're really trying to just kind of segment this glute muscle here. And then notice if you feel it in the low back. And if you do feel in the low back, check in, is your pelvis still grounded? And if that pelvis is a little bit rounded, and so then we're grounding more through the belly or the rib cage, we're going to feel that in the low back because we've got this extended lordosis or curvature of the low back. So really ground that pelvis, let that be your focus. And then slowly release, shake it out. So now we're going to come into like little swim kicker. So just imagine you're just kicking with your feet to swim. Ground your pelvis, lift up both legs, and then start to alternate. Just little tiny kickers, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Keep that pelvis grounded. Keep that forehead grounded. Keep pushing through the hips, push through the pelvis. Feel almost even that hugging in of the core still. And really feel that in the glutes and the hamstrings. And stay for 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower down, release. Nice job. Okay, so we're eventually going to add in the upper body. So go ahead and remove your hands out to the sides, kind of like a little cactus shape, and let your forehead just come to the earth. So again, ground your pelvis. So push the hips into the earth. Lift both legs up, hold them in space, and then press through the hands. Start to lift the upper body, but imagine you're still pressing the forehead into the earth. So that spine is still really neutral and aligned. And then don't reach the arms overhead yet. Just see if you can float them from the floor. Now you will feel your low back a little bit, but it shouldn't be a sharp pain. We should still feel mostly glutes and hamstrings, but the entire kinetic chain up the backside of your body is now active. So you should kind of feel it from your foot all the way to the back of your head. All right, let's put that together. Lower and lift. Now keep all that engagement. Press through the pelvis, press through the pelvis, press through the pelvis. Lower back down. Press, 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 press as you lift and lower. Lift and lower. There's 3. We're going to 10, really slow and controlled. And if you start to feel the pinching or the tugging or the pulling in the low back, just bring your attention back to the grounding of the pelvis. But really, we should feel glutes, hamstrings, low back, all of it even and pressured, not one over the other. Two more. One more. Lower it down, release your head. Bend your knees and just windshield wiper the feet side to side. Nice job. And that should feel really nourishing and rehydrating. All right, we're going to put this into a little contralateral sequence. So just opposite arm is leg. So think left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg. So go ahead and take the arms overhead this time. Reach them, press through the hands on the earth, and then you're not actually going to draw the hands back per se, but imagine you were. So you're kind of dragging the body towards the hands. So you just kind of feel this active upper body, shoulders drawing away from the ears. Now, again, press through the pelvis, lift your left leg, lift your right arm, and hold. So my right top of my foot and my left hand are grounding into the earth like crazy. I'm grounding through my pelvis to support the center of my body. Lower back down, switch sides. So now lift your left arm and your right leg. Really ground through the top foot of the left and the right hand and your pelvis. Lower it down and switch. Lower it down and switch. Lower it down and switch. Keep pressing through the pelvis. Keep pressing through the foot that's on the floor. Keep switching. And really feel the entire back body working here. Whew, you should feel that glute, those hamstrings. 3 more here. Last 2. Last 1, and release. Draw those hands back underneath your shoulders or your chest. Lift yourself up and back, child's pose. Nice job. Okay, we're going to do one more thing, but before we do, we're just going to find a gentle sciatica nerve flossing. For a lot of us, when we do a lot of glute work, sometimes that nerve might feel a little compressed, and we can feel that in the actual sciatic nerve, which, if you're interested, runs from the low back all the way down the body to the foot. So that's why if you feel a burning sensation from your booty to your foot. So coming back onto your back. So we're just going to bring the right knee into the chest, grab behind the hamstring somewhere that's comfortable for you. Now, as the knee is drawing towards the chest, we're going to dorsiflex or just flex the foot. But as you straighten the leg up towards the sky, point the toe. So think you're leading with your big toe. And then as you draw the knee back in, we flex the foot. And as you straighten, you point. So nerve flossing is so nice because you put tension on one side and slack on the other. So the nerve really gets to start gliding between all these muscles. And we're only going to do about 10 on each side. So here's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, one more, and release. And all we're doing is the same thing on the other side. So grabbing somewhere behind the hamstring, flex the foot as the knee is into your chest, and then point as you lift. Here's 5. Again, we're going to 10. Here's 8, 2 more. 9, 1 more. And 10. Nice job. Release. Okay, so we're actually going to stay on our backs. We're going to try to put some of the pieces together between the core and the glute for bridges. So coming back to those, all of those same cueing points. So really think of that strap. Oh, sorry, I should say, make sure your feet are bent, your knees are on the floor. So we're set up like that. Your feet are about hips distance apart, and the heels are somewhere between like straight legs and heels on your butt. So you're kind of like in the middle of those two spots. All right, so from there, imagine again, we have that strap underneath the lumbar spine. Compress that strap so you'll feel this natural tilting of your pelvis upwards, hands down onto the floor with your elbows bent. So my fingertips are up to the sky. Now imagine you can just peel one vertebra at a time up and off the floor into your bridge. And now the pelvis doesn't change. So you still feel really strong through that posterior body. Hold for a moment at the top. And then imagine you can unravel again one vertebra at a time, back down until the tailbone touches the floor. Don't release your pelvis. Don't come out of it. Keep that engagement and come right back up. Slowly lower back down. Imagine you're compressing into that strap as you lower. And then again, you're lifting right back up into these little glute bridges. Now at the same time, because we're still imagining we're compressing into that strap, you should feel all these deep core muscles wrapping in and supporting you and helping you. But we're also working glutes and hamstrings. So you can start to see how all these pieces come together. And as much as we wish we could separate the body, it is this beautiful bodysuit that works together in harmony. So everything is holding and supporting and working together. So even when we're trying to isolate glutes and hamstrings like a bridge, your core is still working, your back is still working. Now see if you can keep all of that and reach your arms up towards the sky. So now we're really trying to just isolate the core and the legs without any hands pushing into the floor, no upper body support. And just notice again, if we start to feel it in the low back, the next time you lower, where is your back? Was it compressing into the strap or has it rounded a little bit? Really check into that. Learning how you're moving through your exercises, these movement patterns will affect how you feel, whether we get injured. So every time you lower the back, check in. If the strap was there, would I be pushing into it or am I lifted off of it? And if we're lifted off of it, we've lost our pelvic tilt and we're rounding, and now we feel it in the low back more than we do the glutes and the hamstrings. So that's just a little check-in. Keep working through your bridges. Just keep checking in. If you start to feel it in the low back, be honest with yourself. Are you rounded at the bottom or are you flat and compressed? 2 more here. The next time you lift it up, hold, let your arms come all the way overhead and rest them on the floor behind you. Now remember the laying down little knee marches we did, except we started in table, we lowered. We're doing the same thing in reverse. So we bring one knee in and then the other knee in. Now imagine you're laying down flat. Keep compressing that imaginary strap. Keep drawing the deep core muscles in. Take 2 more. Let's even this out. From here, one vertebra at a time, lower back down. Once you're on the floor, notice, is my back rounded or was it compressed? And that's not to say anything's right or wrong, just check in with yourself. And if it was rounded, keep coming back to practicing that compression, that segmental compression into the strap until we can really learn to start reactivating these deep core muscles. Slowly release down, arms down by your side, windshield wiper the legs. All right, we have one more little segment to do, and then we're gonna put it together for this little short Pilates flow. So we're gonna come up into our tabletop or quadruped position. So roll it up and flip it over, or roll onto your side and flip it over, however you wanna get there. But we're gonna come into some bird dog. So we just wanna find this somewhat alignment of wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Knees are gonna be a little closer together than hips distance. Now take a round of cat-cow here. So just like we did on the floor, with that strap beneath us. So feel that rounding and then that arching, that flexion, that extension. And then find a nice neutral spot. So there's no arching, there's no extension, and there's no flexion, there's no rounding, but it's nice and even. Now keep that there. Notice the orientation of your tailbone. And I know this might sound silly, but it honestly helps to close the eyes and visualize the pelvis and the tailbone and feel it along the way as you extend your right leg back behind you with the foot on the floor. And the reason that helps is because sometimes when the eyes are open, we're taking in all of this sensory stuff and we cannot really check in with our body. So it does help when you're trying to really tap into how the body's moving, your proprioception, your where's my body in space. It does help to close the eyes and just notice how it feels. So I'll invite you to keep the eyes closed. We're not going to be balancing too hard here. Bring your attention just to how it feels in the hips and in the pelvis as you just start to lift your right foot off the floor. Notice if the low back starts to curve downwards and we feel that popping of the rib cage. Can we come back through neutral? And maybe the foot won't go up as high, and that's okay. Our focus here is on a neutral pelvis, not on the height of the leg. So again, just notice how that feels. And then you can open the eyes if you need to, but keep them closed if you can. Press to the right hand, press to the left knee, lift your left arm forward in front of you. So now you're in your balancing bird dog. Where do you feel this? If you feel it in the low back, be honest, are we coming into that back bend? Can we neutralize here? And just stay. Without changing anything through the leg, bring your left hand back to the floor. Again, don't come out of this neutral pelvis, just bend your right knee in and then straighten it back out. Bend it in, straighten it out. Now, if you're feeling it in the low back, be honest, are we somewhat tilting that pelvis and dropping, or are we still neutral? Take 2 more here. Take 1 more here. And then slowly release that right knee back down, sit back onto the heels, roll your wrist a couple times. Nice job. Now that right glute should feel pretty fatigued because that was a lot of almost isometric, concentric, eccentric work. The holds are a lot harder sometimes than the actual moving. And then come back in through your tabletop. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So again, take a round of cat-cow just to feel what it feels like to be in extension, and then rounding, what it feels like to be in flexion. And then find your neutral point. Maybe again, close the eyes so you can really focus on the inside of the body rather than on all these external cues. And then glide your left leg back behind you with the foot on the floor. Notice if anything changed in the pelvis. And if and when you're ready, start to lift the leg. Again, if you start to notice that pelvis tilting and that low back arching, not rounding, but like collapsing towards the floor, lower the foot a little bit, come back through neutral. If it's available to you, start to bring your right arm forward in front of you. So again, contralateral, right arm, left leg, opposite sides of the body. And feel that balance, that stability coming from your core and your pelvis. Lower yourself back down to the arm. Sorry, keep the left leg as it is, bend, and then straighten. Bend, and then straighten. Let's go 3 more. Let's go 2 more. 1 more. And release and sit back. Roll through the wrists. All right, we get to put this whole thing together for a little mini flow. So we're going to start with the core. Then we're going to move in through the bridges. And then we're going to do our superhumans. And then we're going to end with our bird dog, glute and hamstring. So we're going to put all 4 things that we've gone over today together for Pilates flow. So it's going to be a lot harder because we're not going to be able to slow it down and focus. So as much as you can, just keep remembering how you've been activating these sensories and motor skills, and just keep coming back to that engagement. If at any time you feel the pain in the low back, check in. Am I still compressing? Am I still feeling that imaginary segment of my spine pushing into the strap or not? So again, just have fun, play with it. It's okay if at any point we lose our engagement. We've just been trying to learn what that feels like to stay engaged, and as best as you can, hold on to that engagement. Okay, so we're gonna start with the core. So fingertips behind the head, bring your legs into tabletop. We're going 10 rounds. Remember, you have those 4 moves: drop the heel, crunch everything together, bicycle, bicycle. So take a nice big breath in. Exhale, push into your imaginary strap, lift up. Here we go. Drop your right heel, bring it back in. Drop your left heel, bring it back in. Everything comes together over the center of the body, and then slow bicycle, Here we go. Right, up, left, up, contract, release, bicycle, bicycle. Right, up, left, up, contract, bicycle, bicycle. There we go. That's 3. We're going to 10. Keep this going. Keep focusing on your low back. That's our whole point today. Here's 5. Breathe. 6, 7, 8, 2 more. Really feel that front core. And if you're feeling it in the low back more, remember that compression. Last one. Right into those bridges. So just keep the knees bent, drop the feet to the floor, elbows down, 10 bridges. Remember that as you lower down, just notice, is my back arched or is it flat? Am I pressing into that imaginary strap? We're going for 10. Really use the back body. 7, 8, 2 more. We're going to hold at the top, isometric hold. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Reach those arms up. Marches, let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7. You got it. 4 more sets here. 3 more. 2 more sets. Stay with it, stay with it. Last set. Slowly lower it down. Hug the knees into the chest. Either roll onto your side and press yourself up, or roll along the spine to come all the way up into your tabletop quadruped position. Neutralize your spine. Extend that right leg back. Lift it up without dumping into the low back. So keep that neutralness, even if the foot's lower than normal. 10 curls. 5, 4, 3, 2, hold it out long. Extend your left arm forward, hold 10. 8, 6, 4, 2, lower the left hand, lower the right knee. Take 1 round of cat-cow. Then extend your left leg back, lift it up. Keep that spine, that low back neutral. Bend and extend 10. 5, 4, 3, you got it. 2, hold it out long. Extend your right arm forward. Hold your bird dog for 10. For 8, feel those important deep core muscles hugging in to support you. 5, 4, 3, 2, lower the hand, lower the knee. Walk your hands forward about 12 inches. Let the upper body follow. Hug the elbows in as you lower down. Hands come onto the floor to support your forehead. Ground the pelvis, ground the forehead. Lift both legs, little flutters. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Lower them down. Bring your arms out to the side like little cactus. And then press through the pelvis. Lift both legs. Hold it. Press through the arms. Lift the head, but keep imagining you're pressing the forehead. If that's enough, stay there. If you can, add the arms. Hold 10. 8. Press your pelvis. 6, 4, 2. Stay up, stay up, stay up. Drop your left leg and your right arm overhead. Reach your left arm overhead. Left arm, right leg, lift and lower for 10. Left arm, right leg, lift and lower for 9. Keep pressing through the pelvis. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. One more. And then right into the other side. 10, 9. Now notice if you feel in the low back, keep pressing the pelvis and shorten your range of motion until you can feel it in the glute and the hamstring. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now we didn't practice this, but we're going to go right into it to finish. 10, both arms, both legs, press the pelvis. 10, 9, keep your gaze down. Keep imagining you're pressing your forehead into the floor even though it's lifting. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, one more. And release. Arms down by your side. Bend your knees, windshield wiper. Your feet side to side. You made it. Now we moved a lot slower than a usual Pilates class, but I hope you felt a lot of muscular engagement there. Hopefully you were able to find at least some movements where maybe normally the low back feels it more than the core, and we felt more core than low back today. And if not, that's okay. It takes some time to get this awareness. Keep coming back to it, keep practicing this, and over time, you'll build that internal awareness where we can kick in these deep stabilizing muscles that are supposed to do it on their own, but they can kind of get lazy over time when they're not used. Take 2 more here, 1 more, and then slowly release your legs back down. Whew. Bring your hands in next to your chest, drape yourself up and all the way back into this child's pose with the knees really wide so your belly can just fall between the thighs. Forehead onto the earth, or maybe you stack the arms and bring your forehead onto that if that bringing the forehead down doesn't feel comfortable in your body. Take a nice big breath in and out. One more here. Really feel that release through the low back. And then just start to stack your vertebra one at a time. You can either sit on your butt or on the shins, bring your hands to the knees, and all we're going to do is round and extend that low back spine. So think cat cow, round and lengthen. Now, an interesting fact, your spinal discs, they absorb moisture, but we have to move around to do so. So finding all these multi-directional movement patterns to really support spinal health. And maybe we're like, well, I don't have back pain, but we have pain in the arms or the legs. Well, all of your nerves come from their roots in the spine. So it's important to really support our spine as our main hub first, and then keep moving outward towards the periphery of the body. So again, you're still sitting on the shins or you're sitting on the heels. Just find this like gentle circling of the body. So we're finding flexion, lateral, extension, lateral. So just really moving the entire spine in this 360 pattern. And it can be as easy and gentle as you want, or a big circle if you're craving it. Just listen to your body and how that feels good for you. Maybe you start to add in the cervical spine, the neck area. Just be really gentle with the cervical spine. Our thoracic, our mid spine has the ribs and everything else supporting it. Our lumbar and our neck, they have just the spine. So that's why we tend to have neck problem and low back pain. They don't have a whole lot of support. And then change that direction. So we have to be really gentle and really supportive of it intentionally. Take 2 more there. Take 1 more there and release. All right, just remember your little strap cueing every time you come in to do core work. Hopefully you felt that. I hope you felt the difference between regular and then today being more intentional. But keep practicing, keep getting better. It's going to get better and better every time you practice. Thank you so much for joining me for your Pilates workout. Hopefully your low back feels good and nourished, and your core feels tired and your glutes feel tired. Until next time, be well.